Hey, welcome back, everyone. Once again, it's Saturday, so it's that time to do the miners versus Bitcoin or Bitcoin versus miners. See how they did for the week, which one fared worse and which one fared better than Bitcoin. So we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at Bitcoin, see what it's doing right now. We'll take a look at the miners as well. We'll look at the weekly, 4-week, 8-week, and 12-week data that we have on them, see which one has done worse in the last 12 weeks. And we'll see what we can possibly figure out as far as what's going to happen going forward. Bitcoin is obviously way down, so let's get into that really quick here. Obviously, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Do your own research, please. Don't fall for scams. Spam posts get reported and deleted. All right, so let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart here. So right now, if we look at it here, commercials, the RSI on Bitcoin is really low. We're in the way oversold territory at about, we're right at maybe 18, 19 or so on the RSI. Last time this has happened wasn't on, you have to go all the way back to be this low. You have to go back to basically March of 2020. This was obviously right before the pandemic. Everything fell like crazy back then. And then we've had a huge spike up in price ever since then, leading into obviously 2021. And then we've had it come down in mid-2021 and then another rally here towards the end, towards the third quarter, and then we've obviously come back down as well. But we are obviously way higher in price compared to where we were back here. Back here we were at the $3,000 range the last time the RSI was this low on the daily chart. And right now we are at 34,700. So quite a big distinction between the two. Could we go down a little bit more on Bitcoin? Sure. We could possibly go down to maybe the 28,000, 30,000 mark, like we did here in early June, where we came down to 28,000 before going up. But the one thing that's different is the RSI wasn't so oversold here. If we look at it here back in June, we were only at 35 on the RSI for the daily chart, which to me, this signifies we are way oversold. We could be in basically like in a capitulation phase right now, where this is the very bottom of where we're going to possibly be. We'll obviously have to keep an eye on it, see what happens, because we could still fall even further a little bit, but I don't think we're going to fall too much further from where we are right now, at least based on what I'm seeing here on the RSI and things like that. Things could obviously change. We have a lot of unknowns. One of the unknowns is obviously interest rate hikes, along with what Russia's going to do with Ukraine. Are they going to invade? Are they not going to invade? So that's going to be obviously a downer on the markets if that happens. But we'll have to keep an eye on it. And right now, it is obviously really close to that line that I drew a while back, that descending line here. And if we zoom in really close on it, we can see that we are really close to touching that. I wonder if it's going to come down and touch it and then possibly bounce off of that line, or my next line of support is at the 32,700 or so mark right here. So we'll see if we can bounce off of that. Obviously, we lost support here at the 37,500 mark. So this is our next line of defense. If we can't hold this, we're going down to possibly 28,000. But then, the RSI then is going to be way, way oversold unless we get a trading sideways and the RSI goes up a little bit and then obviously falls a little bit more down. So something to keep an eye on. Let's take a look at the total hash rate. Total hash rate continues to increase, obviously, in Bitcoin. And that is always viewed as a bullish sign, right? Usually when our total hash rate increases on the network, that usually leads, it's not a leading indicator, it's sometimes like a leading indicator that the price is going to rebound in Bitcoin because you are having such a huge impact on the total hash rate increasing, which basically signifies that the miners are installing hardware, they're spending money, things like that, and eventually the price of Bitcoin is going to have to follow suit in the coming months going forward. So that's where we are right now with the total hash rate. Obviously, the miner revenue is going down as well because the total hash rate is increasing. So we are down to 32 million, roughly 33 million a day for revenue. We were at a peak here of about 74 million. So that's a huge, obviously, decrease, basically about more than 50% decrease in revenue for the miners, which obviously is also signifying to the traders to be selling the miners. Bitcoin's going down anyway, so they're selling on that. But that's what we got here right now. So we'll have to see if we can we obviously hit a low here at 13 million back in June of last year. So we're not close there. So we'll have to see if this comes down lower from that or not. All right. So let's take a look at the numbers here we have, or actually let's take a look at the miners. So the miners obviously were down all this week. Argo was down to 97 cents, which is quite a bit. Bitfarms was down to 358. Everybody's following down. Cleanspark down to 640. Corsair, don't cover them yet, but I'm going to be covering them. They're at 691. Digihost is down to 308. DMG is at 53 cents. Hive was down to $1.82. Hut 8, 537. Iris Energy's 958. Mara's 2206. Mawson 424. And Riot is down to 15. And we are seeing a little bit of a spike here in short interest, looks like. Has increased 1231, but we've seen that going up a little bit. So that's, what, 2-3 weeks old now on the data here. And I don't think we have anything newer than that from them. Latest was, 1231 on the short interest. And you can see huge short interest on everybody. So everybody's obviously bearish on the mining stocks. So let's take a look at the numbers that we have for them, see how they did compared to Bitcoin. And then we'll go from there. So on the weekly chart, we can see that I have this set up for the 1% or the 1 week percentage drop. And Argo fared the best out of them all. It was only down 11.26%, followed by DMG was down 13.5%. Bitcoin was down 15, almost 15.5% on the week. Mawson was down 15.7. Hut was 18.8. Bitfarms was down 21.49. Cleanspark 21.76. Iris down 22. Digihost down 22. Marathon down 22. Hive was down 24. And Riot got beat up the most, was down 27%. Was down $5.69 just in this week alone. Marathon was down a little bit more dollar-wise, $6.53, but percentage-wise was a little bit better than that. And we can see that here in the numbers. Obviously, market cap has come way down on everybody. Most of these guys, some of these guys were above 1 billion, like Hut 8, Hive was above that as well, and they've obviously come down underneath the 1 billion mark. But everybody, as obviously the price goes down, the market cap is going to go down, which also signifies to me that they are way undervalued based on what's going on. So we'll get into another video here after this one on miner versus miner, see how they're doing comparably to each other. But right now, excuse me, right now on the 1 week, obviously Argo was a winner, Riot was a loser out of them all. And everybody here, other than the two in the top, did worse than Bitcoin for the week. And if we look at the chart on the four-week chart, it's your 4 weeks chart, we can see that Bitcoin was down basically 21% in the 4 weeks. Again, looks like DMG and Argo fared the best. They did better than Bitcoin did as far as decreasing goes. And then we got obviously all of these guys here. Mawson was down 36. Iris is 40% down. Digihost 33. Marathon 32. Hive was down 31. Riot was down 32 for the 4 weeks. And if we look at the 8 weeks, we can see Bitcoin is at 31, almost 32% down. And on the 8 weeks, we can see that everybody has done worse than Bitcoin here. With obviously the biggest losers here were Cleanspark, down 60%, which is huge, followed by possibly Mawson at 55.2, and then Marathon at 55, and then Riot at 54. So huge difference between where Bitcoin went down. These guys are almost down double where Bitcoin's down on the 8 weeks. And then if we look at the 12-week chart, we don't have obviously Iris because Iris hasn't been around that long, but we can see that Cleanspark is down, what is that, 68, almost 70% down, followed by Mawson, 66, Marathon down 65, and Bitcoin is only down 40%. So the only one that's done better than Bitcoin on the 12-week chart is DMG. So interesting kind of to take a look at it, see what's going on with all of these guys here. Obviously, we'll have to see how this all plays out. There is a lot of fear in the market right now, doubt. We saw the fear and greed index down to 13 yesterday, which is pretty fearful. So could this be a good buying opportunity? Possibly. Obviously not financial advice. Do your own research as always. But it does look like we might be getting close to the bottom here based on just what I'm seeing here with the RSI And even if we look at the weekly RSI, we're pretty low. We haven't been this low for a while. On the weekly, we are at 35.69. And the last time we were this low, we were at right around here, which was, March of 2020. So big difference here. 3,500 that we were at in 2020. We're at basically 35,000 right now. 10x difference from price, and the RSI is basically now the same. So this is, I think, a good positive sign for Bitcoin going forward. We may come down a little bit, like I said, but I don't think we're going to go too much further lower. We could get surprised. The last time Bitcoin was lower on the RSI was back here in December of 2018, where we hit, what did we hit then? We hit somewhere around 3,200 or something like that. So yeah, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. But otherwise, I think, if you look at the big picture in the long term, I think you will see that Bitcoin is obviously doing okay. Price appreciation wise, we're doing great. RSI is still relatively low to where it was back then. So if you compare the two, we're still way up here compared to now. So maybe a little bit more down, but I think we're getting close to the bottom here, possibly. Time will only tell, obviously. But yeah, in the next video, we'll cover the miner versus miner. We'll take a look to see what it would take for the miners to be unprofitable. We'll do a quick little calculation on that, see where we end up with that, and then we'll call it a day. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and the notification bell helps me out tremendously. And that's all for right now. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, have a great day. Bye.